John, of course, another argument of the cities was that it really does come down to the testing that they carry out and whether the sort of E. coli levels are acceptable. And according to them, their own independent testing has yielded acceptable levels of E. coli, as sort of paradoxical as that might sound. But other independent water experts have done their own testing and proven that that is not the case. So the human impact, of course, is still a huge concern.
Well, Nick, I don't, sorry to be so blunt, but I don't trust the city on this one because at the time of our meeting, I asked them if they do conduct regular testing, which they said yes. I said, then can I see a copy of those results? And they said no. When I asked why, they said that because if it gets into the public, it can be interpreted in the wrong way. Now, I'm not sure how difficult it is to interpret this in the wrong way. There is or isn't an allowable level that the E. coli is allowed to reach. Let's call it 150 parts per million for want of a thumbsuck figure. And then the value that is tested either exceeds that or it doesn't. It's not rocket science. And yet they were very reticent to allow me to see the figures. Subsequently, I did see some figures that through another channel, and on regular occasions, the allowable level has exceeded the recommended allowable tolerance. So there's clearly a problem, and as you say, independent tests were carried out by several organizations, including AfriForum, and those results were quite shocking. So, I believe we have a problem, and the question is, as a city, are we going to tackle it, or are we going to continue to just poison the ocean?
And yet, beaches like Camps Bay, Clifton, etc., are still considered blue flag status.
Well, they're not considered blue flag status. They achieved full blue flag status this year again. And I find that quite interesting. However, when I investigated it a bit further, I found out that there's a very short testing window for blue flag status. So the beaches are tested for water quality over quite a small, short period. And that's generally coincide to time with the summer months when the wind is prevailing from the southeast and offshore, so it's blowing all the pollutants away from the beach. So, I don't think blue flag status is a quality status that can entirely be trusted to guarantee you from a sewage-free experience swim at the beach.
Jean, obviously the focus has been on the human impact, but subsequent reports have also pointed out the environmental, ecological impact and tests that were carried out showing that very poisonous metals, sort of byproducts from drugs that come out in human excrement, are now in the ocean and affecting marine life. What can you say about that?
Well, it's not my area of expertise, but the lady that did the test, Professor Leslie Petrick, she tested. There was a dive conducted to collect marine organisms from around the outfall pipe on a day when the outfall pipe was actually non-functional. So there was nothing coming out of the pipe. Whatever they found in those organisms was therefore residual levels of contaminants that they had accumulated over time. They tested for, I think it was 12 contaminants they tested for, and animals tested positive for unacceptable levels of 11 of them, including carcinogens and heavy metals and all sorts of nasty stuff. So it's not just the E. coli that we need to be looking out for, but at this point, that's the main one everybody's worried about and testing for. And that's why I've said it would be interesting to see what scope of reference the CSIR were given, whether they're testing just for the E. coli or for other nasties as well.
Jean, if you were the ward councillor, the mayor of Cape Town, and had the budget, what would be, in your opinion, the most viable, realistic solution to this?
Nick, again, it's not such a straightforward, easy answer. There are new technologies out there. I don't know enough about it. But as a minimum, I would like to see the sewage treated before it goes in the sea. Sewage treatment yields both a fuel source from the solid waste that's recovered, and it leads to a massive amount of recycled water, and we're a water-short city. So both of those things are positive byproducts from treatment. However, you need the land available, you need to build a treatment plant, and you need to pump the sewage to the treatment plant. And all of these things take time and a lot of money. So it's not a simple answer, but if we get to the point at the moment we pump, according to the outfall volume capacity, we can pump 55 million litres a day of raw untreated sewage into the ocean. Now the ocean either can or can't handle that, but let's just say for argument's sake that at the moment you accept it can handle that. As the population grows exponentially, there will come a point where whether it's 100 million litres or 200 or 500 or a million, that the ocean can't handle the volume of sewage that's being thrown at it. And if we get to that point and we have no alternative in place, what are we going to do? We're going to throw up our hands and say, oh, well, there's no alternative. We've got to keep doing it. We need to start building the alternative now.